Hi, it's Wednesday. That means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we're going to discuss the importance of loving the widower's children and why sometimes, or maybe even often, this is a very difficult thing to do. The reason behind this video is on the Dating Widower Facebook group, in my own inbox, and in some of the coaching sessions I'm doing, I've seen an uptick in what I'll term an extreme dislike for the widower's children. Now, typically this dislike is directed towards the adult children who are, or at least should be, out on their own with their own lives, but sometimes it's directed towards the younger kids, and by that I mean I'm probably talking teenagers. I'm not talking, younger than 13 typically. Usually it's, teenage kids, and the older they get, the more they tend to fit into this category. So let me give you a little bit of background on why I'm seeing this dislike. So usually what happens is, a woman starts dating a widower with kids, and she's understanding that, that she's coming in here and she's fallen in love with her dad, and he has kids who have lost their mother. And that's not really the ideal situation that most people want to come into when they start a relationship. You could have kids that are still grieving, kids that are, who knows how they've dealt with the death of their mom, and suddenly, hey kids, dad's dating again. They find out. So usually they come in knowing that maybe this isn't going to be easy, but most of the women I've talked to, they come in wanting a relationship with the widower's kids. They don't necessarily have to be best friends or anything like that, but they come into this relationship hoping that they can, at the very least, have a cordial relationship with the widower's kids. Ideally, they like to have a better relationship than that, but hopefully, they like to come in and, maybe, how about this? They'd like to come in and be given a chance, and maybe not just prejudged or, have this anger directed at them. So they come in and they're really ready. They want to have at the very least a cordial relationship with the kids, but really what they want is to be given a chance to be the kind of just to show the kids what a wonderful person they are. And then usually what happens, and this is, by the way, typical across sons and daughters. There's no, the daughters or sons aren't more likely to do this. It's pretty evenly split. What happens is the kids are upset that dad's dating. We'll get into some of those reasons in a minute. But then they try to go in there and sabotage the relationship, or to stop their dad from dating. Maybe by hogging his time or trying to get him to cancel dates, things like that. And as they're in there doing this, the resentment towards the kids grows. Now, let's just back up a little bit. Let's give some reasons why the kids may be acting this way. There could be other reasons, but typically what you see, you'll see kids kind of lashing out at the new girlfriend or the new mom. Some of it is they're afraid that they're going to lose their father, and not necessarily that the father's going to die, but they're they're going to lose their father's time and attention. So usually, since their mom died, they've maybe spent more time with their dad. Maybe their dad spent more time with them. I don't know, helped out. I don't know. Usually, there's a video on how relationships change. Your relationship with your dad changes when your mom dies, for better or worse. And then, dad starts dating again, and they kind of go out there and think, oh no, dad's going to give his time and attention to this new person. They could still be grieving for their mom. Maybe they feel that they won't be needed anymore. In some cases, they're worried about an inheritance, that, they're not going to get whatever, the house or the estate that, that mom and dad built up. It's all going to go to this new person. And by the way, if you're a widower watching this, my next video will actually cover, if you're a widower, what you can do if you're in these kind of places where the kids aren't receptive to your new girlfriend or wife. There will be a whole video on that. This video is simply talking about the actual the new girlfriend or the new wife, and what we can do that way. Anyway, so there's lots of reasons why kids kind of act resentful. And they try to come between you and the widower, or they try to go out there and sabotage the relationship in various ways. So what's important to note here is that they've probably given you good reasons, maybe to be angry or to be resentful, or, as I term, maybe have that intense dislike for their kids to the point that maybe you want to be around them anymore. So I'm not saying that if you have these feelings that they're somehow unjustified, or that somehow there's no reason to feel this way. I mean, when I talk to people in coaching sessions, they go into details of some of the stuff that, that the widower's kids have done to try to keep them apart, or, break up their relationship. And I can totally understand why one would feel that way. But it doesn't matter what what the kids have done, is you need to rise above that. You need to be the better person, and you need to show the widower's children love and kindness. And I know that some of you are thinking, oh, hey, I've done this and it's not working. I'll address that in a sec. But let me talk about the reasons you need to show the love and kindness towards these kids who may not be showing that towards you, or again, maybe trying to sabotage your relationship. There's 3 reasons for it. The first reason is that you can't stay mad at someone who's kind to you. Your kindness will eventually wear them down. I mean, think about it. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where, where maybe you've been angry at somebody and that person has not responded in anger but has been kind. You can only be mad at somebody for so long who's acting that way. So that's kind of the first reason is, as long as you're treating them with kindness, you're not giving them a reason to get mad at you. You can't stay mad at someone who's being kind to you. The second reason is you're not giving them a reason to justify whatever they're feeling. So say that, again, they're afraid they're going to lose their father's time and attention, maybe they're worried about inheritance, whatever the reason is. As soon as you act out towards them, or as soon as you give them a reason to hate you, you're just justifying whatever it is in their mind for their behavior. And they're thinking like, hey, I don't have to treat this, this woman that good. I can be rude to her. I can ignore her at family events. I can spread lies about her, whatever it is. I can do all these things because she's being mean to me. You're just giving them an excuse to be. You're just giving them a reason to justify what it is they're doing. And I know there's no justification for it, but you can see how someone in an emotional state like their kids, who's upset that their dad's dating again or whatever, is going to take anything that they can find, any negative thing that you do, and they're going to try to turn it to their advantage. So that's the second reason is you're not going to give them any more reason to despise you. But the third reason is a little more personal. It is you shouldn't have this hate or anger or intense dislike towards them. When you have those feelings towards other people, it eats you up on the inside. It makes you sad. It makes you bitter. It makes you hard to be around. I mean, think about times you've been around someone that you knew had a grudge towards you. Maybe, again, it's the widower's kids or, someone at work or another family member or whatever. Have you ever been around someone you could tell that they just didn't like you? How was it to be around that person? It's not fun, right? If you can feel this from the widower's children, I guarantee that they can feel it from you. So if you have this, again, this intense dislike towards them, even if you have a smile on their face, they're going to tell that it's phony. And they won't be able, and again, you're giving them another reason. They're going to see right through your phoniness. And again, if you can feel that the widower's kids feel this way towards you, I guarantee they can feel that you feel it the way that you can feel it towards them. So anyway, that's kind of an overview why you need to show kindness and love. There's other reasons as well, but that's just kind of I'm setting the stage here. Now I know a lot of you are thinking, I have tried this and tried this. I've tried to be kind. I've tried to be patient. I've tried to ignore the insults. I've tried to be accommodating, and it's not working. The kids are still angry. The kids still don't like me. Kids are still trying to break me and the widower up. Well, okay. So what do you do if that continues? You're being as kind and as nice as you can. What's the next step? Well, the key is I'm not asking you to be a doormat here. I'm not asking you to be, a recipient of this anger or resentment from others. If you've tried to break them down with kindness and it hasn't worked, you need to tell the widower in a kind and loving way about their bad behavior. And you shouldn't put yourself in situations where you're going to be ignored or whatever, abused or whatever, whatever's going on. So if there's like a family activity and his kids are going to be there and his kids are going to flat out ignore you and make it a miserable time, you don't have to be there. But you do have to let the widower know what's going on. And a lot of times I talk to people and they don't want to do this because they're scared it might cause a rift in the relationship, that the widower, that somehow by bringing this up, you're forcing the widower to decide between him and his kids. And that's not true. We'll get to that in a sec. But basically, if you don't, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to or, emailed or whatever, where they talk about these horrible things the kids are doing. I say, well, what does the widower say when you bring it up? And they're like, well, I haven't told him yet, or maybe, I think he's aware of it, but we haven't discussed it. we have, again, don't do that, okay? We have a saying, which is what you permit, you promote. So if you're silent on an issue, even if the widower's aware of it, he may think it's not that big of a deal. He may think that, okay, yeah, I know my kids are being jerks, but it must not bug her because she hasn't said anything. So in a kind, loving way, you need to let the widower know that, hey, whatever, your son, your daughter, every time we're over at a family activity, they again ignore me, or they say rude things to me, or I notice every time we try to go out, you have one of your kids is calling with another emergency, and giving you a reason that that you can't spend time with me. Whatever the thing is, you just got to kind of let it out there and let the widower know about it. And the key is to watch the widower's what does the widower do about it? Is he going to stand up for you? Does he talk to his kids about it? Does he try to explain to them why he's dating again? Or does he let things continue on as normal? Again, I know there's widowers watching this say, well, I'm afraid if I do this, I'll lose my kids. I have to choose between, my kids and the relationship. You don't have to. Again, that'll be addressed in my next video. But again, what you want to watch for is what's the widower's reaction to this? What are his actions? Because the widower can say, well, okay, I'll talk to him about it, or I'll bring it up with him, or he can say, yeah, that's unacceptable, but then not do anything about it. And by not doing anything about it, again, he can't control his kid's behavior. He can't go to him and say, hey, I want you to knock that, once they're like 3 years old, that kind of behavior doesn't work. But what he can do is he can go to him and say, look, I've got this, I've talked to my girlfriend. She says this is going on. He can have a conversation about it. He can listen and maybe try to understand the reasons why his children are acting this way. Maybe, he can, again, maybe it won't be a solution, but at the very least, he can start to set some healthy boundaries with his kids and say, look, this is unacceptable behavior. If you want me to come to this event or do this, you need to at least, at the very least, be cordial to my girlfriend. The good news is I know a lot of you are thinking this is never going to work. It doesn't, whatever. This relationship is doomed. He's going to choose his kids over me. The good news is that most of the time the kids come around and accept the relationship and they accept the new girlfriend. But it does take some time. It takes some boundary setting on your part and the widower's part. I think it takes a lot of listening on the widower's part, maybe trying to better understand why his kids are feeling this way. Again, is it, they're afraid to lose their dad? Are they still grieving mom? Is it an inheritance issue? Is it something else, right? But most of the time the kids will come around on this. And again, it's not going to be overnight, but I think, over the ensuing months and years, most kids come around and at least can be cordial to the new wife or the new girlfriend. Now, what helps here, there's two things that help, is if they can see that their father's happy and they can see that their fears and concerns are addressed, that really speeds up the process of them coming around. And again, it could be that, they're afraid to lose their father's time and attention, and, but then they start to look around and see that, hey, dad's happy. I see dad has a smile on his face. I haven't seen him smile since a mom died. And you know what? I still get to spend time with dad. Okay, maybe it's not as much time since mom died, but, dad's still coming over once a week, or dad's still watching my kids occasionally, or, he's still calling me on the phone, whatever it is, right? They can, once they see that their dad's happy and that their fears are maybe kind of overblown, they'll come around. But again, it's a lot easier if they can see that and they're not being reinforced with negative, behavior from you, where you're making snide remarks about them, or they overhear you saying something, or they know, they're sensing anger or frustration or whatever it is from you. That can blow it up too. They can see dad being very happy, but at the same time, this lady he's dating won't talk to me, when there's a family party. I don't want to be part of this. So there's kind of a little thing that everybody has to do. You play a part, the widower plays a part, the kids play a part. But I think the biggest thing to remember is that anger or bitterness doesn't help. It really doesn't help anything. It only divides. And remember that you can't control what the widower's kids act or say, or what the widower does or doesn't do about the situation. The only thing you can control is your feelings and your reaction to it. So stay in control. Use love and kindness no matter what happens in the relationship. And at the very least, even if things do come to an end, you'll have an inward peace. You will know that you did the best that you can. And let's be honest, if the widower is choosing his kids over you, it sucks, but do you really want to be in a relationship where you're not going to be number one? Where, can you imagine being with someone for 20 or 30 years and your concerns are always put to the side because of his grown kids? We're not talking minor kids here. We're talking about kids with their own lives and their own families, putting their concerns over yours. Probably not a situation you don't want to be in. Anyway, this has been Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh. Please leave a comment below, share your own stories. You can feel free to watch another video. If you want to schedule a coaching session, you can do that as well. There's a link in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next Wednesday.